this episode we're going to be upgrading the ignition system on the RX-7 to a set of AEM smart coils. Now I bought the whole kit from DM-Motorsport, and with that you get 4 coils, a mounting bracket to locate them where the air conditioning unit was, and a plug and play wiring loom. There's only a little bit of messing you have to do to the wiring loom, but it's only small. So let's unbox and see what we get. Okay, first thing we notice about the kit, obviously you've got your 4 individual coils there, each in their own box. We've got the mounting bracket, which looks like it has spacers to stack them all up, and you can see in the instructions they're stacked in pairs, and that's right where the old aircon compressor would be. And if you look at the leads, they're also labelled leading 2, trailing 2, trailing 1 and leading 1, so that makes things quite simple. And it's even labelled on the wiring loom. That's your earth for your sensor, 12 volt, and your main earth, either to the chassis or the engine. And this is the plug we need to pin, but we'll get to that later on. So first, looking at the instructions, it recommends that it's best to build the coils onto the bracket and then fit it to the engine. So let's get that done first. Okay, now that's built, the next part on the instructions is to do the wiring. So we've got to find the igniter harness, and that's on the side of the car, just on the wheel arch. So we've got to unplug the igniter, get rid of that because you don't need it anymore, and then look for the right wires. So let's go and do that. Okay, so this is the stock igniter. There's 2 bolts holding onto the side, so we'll get that off first and then have a look at the wiring loom. Okay, so with that unbolted, this is the harness for the igniter. That can pretty much go in the bin. And then here we've got the plug. Now, in amongst these wires are the trigger wires for the new harness. So the leading coil shares the same trigger. So we need to go through the wiring diagram, pick out the trailing for the first rotor, trailing for the second rotor, and the main leading trigger wire. So let's have a quick look at the diagram and find out which ones those are. Okay, so you've got your igniter out and you've got the wiring harness here. Now what we need to do first is get rid of this orange protector. The 2 important bits for this point are these 2 holes here. And you want to get yourself something like a pin, something like that. You can just pop in and push the tab back so you can get it out. The best way to do it is to find something you can actually grab it with. Not too hard, you don't want to damage anything. Pop a pin in to release the tab. And do the same the other side. I think that's come out. We're not free, we've just got to get it out. There we are. And then you can see all the pins inside. So now we've just got to pick our colours. Now what I've got here is a simplified version of the wiring diagram. And let's pick our first one. So leading trigger is solid green. And it's got the code LG, and you can see from one side, that's the 3rd one in. So if we have a look in here, we know there's a blank at that end, so we know which end to start, which is here. We've got green and black, and then we've got our solid green. So that's one we need to de-pin. Okay, so the next step, you might need something a little bit longer than that, because you need to get right down into the pin. Now you can see the pins here, and there's two bits to it. There's a tab at this end, which is quite near the top, and there's a tab down near the bottom. Now it's the one at the bottom that you need to push away from the clip just to pull it out. So we know that this one here is the leading trigger. So if we just pop our tool in there and pull lightly on the back of the wire, there we are, it's released. So we've got our leading one right there. We'll tuck that out of the way. Now the next one is front trailing trigger, and that is brown. Now that's the one right at the other end of the pin, this one here. So if we pop that in there, you should be able to feel it click. The difficult thing is you don't have a lot of room to play with, so you've got to try and pull on something you can't really get your hand to. There we are. Okay, the brown one's out. Let's pull that out of the way. And now the next one is brown with a black centre, BRB. So that's third one in from the other end. 1, 2, 3. That's this one here. Okay, that one's out. And then we've got our main power wire, which is easy. That's just black and white, which conveniently is the next one along. There we are. Now the rest of these connections are just redundant. We don't need that plug, we don't need anything to do with it. We've got the ones that we want, which are these 4 here. And then what we need to do is push those into the new connector. Okay, so next what we need to do is repin the new connector. It's got a nice diagram on the female end here which shows your leading, trailing, front and rear and the main power lines. Now I've just done the main power line already just to make sure I was right in which way to put it round. It's probably a good idea just to line these up, make sure everything's where you need it to be, because these are quite fiddly to get out once you've got them in. And what you want to do is the main power line goes in the centre at the top with the latch at the top. And the next one we want to do is, let's go for leading. Now you'll see this loop here. Because I'm on an Apexi ECU, the leading uses the same signal. So we've got leading 1 and leading 2 at the top. It doesn't matter which one of these we put it in. So we know our leading wire is solid green. So let's pick that one out, which is this one. And what you want to do, you'll see on this, there's a little hole on the one side, and then the other side is solid with these 2 little prongs sticking out. You want to do it so the hole is pointing up. So if you just slot that in there, you should hear it click. As long as you've got it in all the way. You might need to use something a bit better than my stupid fingers. There you are, that's clicked in. So that's our leading done, and now we've got front trailing and rear trailing. So front trailing is T1, so that's at the bottom of this plug on this side. So we need to look here at the bottom of plug on that side. So front trailing is solid brown. Let's pick that one out. Brown and black, that's solid brown. So same again, hole pointing up towards the top, funny prongs pointing towards the bottom. Pick the right connector, double check before you put it in because they're a nightmare to get out. So trailing 1, which is front trailing, that goes on the right hand side at the bottom. So again we just push that in. There we are, nice click. And then we've got trailing 2, which is the other side at the bottom, which is your black and brown. Hole at the top, find the right one. This one isn't very happy, so we'll just use the pliers. And there we are. See? And that is the extent of your wiring. Okay, so we've got that pinned, so we need to plug that in for the last time. And here you'll see we've got the fuse and the solenoid for it. Now, seeing as we don't have the igniter anymore, to be honest, you can mount that exactly where that went. So if we take the solenoid out and get the pins we use for there, and I'm not entirely sure if these are going to fit because mine were cap head, whereas previously you'd use just a 10mm, but we'll give it a go. Okay, that's back in, so pop our solenoid back in. And this part of the wire loom is nearly done. Next part is your main 12-volt feed. Now if you pop open the fuse box here, you've got a lovely connection ready for you here. So that's just a 10mm bolt to loosen that. Okay, and the next one is your earth. Now, I don't have ABS and my battery is relocated to the boot, so my main battery earth goes down to this adapter for the ABS here. So you can pick anywhere that's good on the chassis, but this is closer to the loom, so that's where I'm going to put mine. Okay, next we've got to put the coils in place. Now you'll notice I don't have power steering, but you do still need the bracket at the bottom half of it that mounts your power steering to the engine. So all I've done is just cut that in half with an angle grinder. We'll just pop these in. Now they do come with bolts and spacers because they are slightly spaced off that bracket. So if you get them into place, just slot right in. Mine's a bit difficult because I've relocated my heater hose down there, so I've got as much space as you might have. Pop a bolt through with a spacer on. The spacer goes on the back, and just line it all up. It's probably best just to put that one in finger tight for now, and then the other two go along the top here. Last part of the install is your new Magnacore leads. So if we start with trailing 2, which is, leading 2, which is at the bottom and at the back. That's the one we're going to have least access to if we put the other ones in first. So we pop it straight into the coil and then straight onto the plug. And simply put it in the order that's shown on the plugs here. So that's the install done. Relatively straightforward. I'll put the web address for DM-Motorsport down in the description so you can go and have a look at their website. They do loads of stuff for the FD. But all we've got left to do is a test run. Let's give it a go.